Good evening, wanderers of the wicked and the wonderful, and welcome to Shadowed Verses. Tonight, I invite you to dim the lights, hush the world outside, and tune your soul to a different frequency. You see, there are sounds that should never be heard, voices not meant to travel through the airwaves, but sometimes grief, or perhaps guilt, cracks the walls between the worlds, and when it does, something old can slip through. Perhaps it's just sorrow. Perhaps it's something else. Tonight's tale is one of regret, of memory, and a sister's voice carried on static and sin. A tale of what happens when the past won't stay buried, and neither will the dead. So pour a drink if you must, but don't turn that dial, because once you tune in, you may never tune out. This is Ghost Radio. Night fell thick and heavy, the kind of silence that feels like it's listening. Just past 8, the radio stirred. No warning, no reason, just a low hum slipping into the room like a whisper that didn't want to be heard. I hadn't touched it in days. Can you hear me? I froze. My skin prickled, panic unfurling like an icy thread in my chest. It wasn't my voice, but it was familiar. It felt like something I should recognize, an echo of a memory I couldn't quite place. I reached for the dial, desperate to turn it off, but the knob spun on its own, defying me. The static grew louder, pressing in from every corner of the room, a thick, heavy fog. Then, a single word. My name. Sarah. The air thinned, suffocating me. My breath caught, pulse exploding. I stumbled backward, slamming into a chair. It wasn't real. It couldn't be. The voice came again, clearer this time, cutting through the static. Still here. The dial spun wildly, switching channels like a ship lost in a storm. My eyes darted around the room, half expecting to see her. Erica, arms crossed, that familiar scowl etched on her face. I couldn't even hate it. I missed that part of her. The presence. Even the way she demanded things. How strange it was to miss that. Dim light from the patio door sliced through the growing shadows, casting everything in a soft, unsettling glow. The room felt smaller now, the walls pressing in as if they were watching, waiting. I unplugged the radio with trembling hands, the static still reverberating through my chest. I didn't want to be near it anymore. My feet felt heavy as I dragged myself toward the living room, each step a burden. My breath shallow, I fumbled for the TV remote, desperate to drown out the nagging thoughts clawing at my mind. The channels flicked by mindlessly, but the noise only seemed to amplify the chaos swirling inside me. I didn't want to think about it. Not about her, not about what happened. This distraction wasn't enough. My mind circled back to the voice. Her voice. It had been 6 weeks since the accident, and hearing it again felt like a slap in the face. How was this possible? I needed something stronger. I grabbed the vodka from the cupboard, poured a shot, and downed it in a single motion. It burned all the way down, spreading a fiery warmth through me. Another shot. The glass clicked against the counter, and I added sparkling water, its fizz tickling my lips. The alcohol dulled the edges of my thoughts, but it still wasn't enough. I carried the glass into the living room and sank into the recliner, trying to ignore the weight of the silence pressing down on me. I tried to sleep, but it was restless. Too much vodka, or not enough. My dreams were jagged flashes of things I couldn't piece together. Each time I woke, I could hear her voice again, drifting through the cracks of the night. But when I opened my eyes, the room was empty. Only silence. Morning came too quickly, dragging me from the haze of sleep. I pushed myself through my routine, barely registering the motions before heading to work. On the drive home, my mind wandered to Erica. The loneliness had settled in after she was gone, but there was something else, too. Something strange. Freedom. She had always been a dominant force in my life, never letting me do anything without criticism. But that was gone now. Still, I missed her even more than I could admit. I pulled into the driveway, greeted by the sight of the black-eyed Susans, their yellow faces bright against the fading light. Erica and I had planted them together the year our mother passed, and now they blanketed the garden in a vibrant thickness. I had always thought them a poor choice. Too bright, too cheerful for a hateful woman like her. But now I couldn't help but admire them. Inside the house was dark. The blinds were shut, casting the room in a strange, shadowy glow. I moved to open them, letting the dim light spill in, watching as it cast a soft glow over the plants, their leaves reaching toward the subtle light. It seemed fitting. Mother always insisted on keeping the blinds closed, probably because of her hangovers. I dropped my purse on the coffee table and sank into the recliner, hunger gnawing at me, but barely registering. I didn't know what I craved, only that I couldn't face it, the radio. Instead, I reached for the wine, filling my glass, hoping it might steady the tremor in my hands. My thoughts drifted back to Erica, my sister, my best friend, until Mother's poison became hers too. At first, I felt a strange relief when she died, but the emptiness that followed was heavier than I ever imagined. Could I talk to her again if I plugged the radio back in? Would it be so wrong to hear her voice one last time? To tell her I'm sorry? I rose slowly, my legs unsteady from the wine. The radio sat in silence on the kitchen counter. I hesitated. Part of me screamed not to. This was madness. But another part longed for the sound of her, for something comforting. I plugged it in and waited. Nothing. Erica, if you're here, I'm sorry. My voice cracked. I crumpled to the floor, sobbing, the release pouring out in ragged waves. I gave up. Crawling back into the recliner, I tried to calm the storm inside me. Hours passed, and with the bottle nearly empty, I reached for the vodka again. This time, I didn't care what it did to me. I was beyond caring. I drank until the world softened, then slipped into a fog of sleep. I woke to the sound of static, sharp, jarring, rattling my bones. For a moment, I didn't understand. Then I remembered. The kitchen. The radio. I leapt from the chair and rushed to the radio, stopping short when I heard the voice. Why? Hurt me. Supposed to be. I saw her again. Erica at the top of the stairs, hair matted, bottle in hand, screaming at nothing. Our mother's voice in her mouth. That day, I turned the TV up, too loud to hear her fall, too loud to notice if she called out. She always called out. It's not my fault, Erica. You turned into our mother. If you hadn't been so damn drunk, I yelled at the radio. I just thought you were so drunk. No response, just more static. I stared at it, fingers trembling as I reached for the plug. Before I could find it, her voice came again. So lonely here, Sarah. It hit me like a punch to the gut. My sobs came unbidden, raw and desperate. It was too much. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. My sister's voice calling me back to a truth I couldn't escape. Why had I thought hearing her again would be a good idea? The vodka whispered to me again. Another shot, another distraction. I grabbed the bottle, its weight now a familiar comfort, and slid down the wall to the floor. I have to get through this somehow. The glass bottle felt cool to the touch. I focused on the red label, the clear liquid resting just below it. A part of me craved the comfort it offered, but another part despised what it had done to all three of us. I looked up at the radio on the counter. I loved Erica, but she never gave me a chance to breathe. Mother, too. She turned us both into something we couldn't escape. Sometimes, I'm not sorry about what happened. She shouldn't have gotten so drunk, so hateful. I can hear Mother yelling at me to get her another drink. She never asked. It was always an order. Too drunk to get up and pour her own. My anger exploded, and before I could take a drink, I hurled the bottle across the room and watched it shatter against the wall. Sarah, was it you hurt Mother? The ground beneath me cracked. I could feel her even through the static. She was right there, but not really. I sank to the floor, empty bottle by my side, the radio still whispering in that voice I once trusted. Whether it was Erica, guilt, or just madness, I didn't care. She was gone, but I still wasn't free.